Coming up on this episode of Hak5, recovering encryption keys from memory using the cold boot attack, and never Alt+Tab out of a game ever again using Play Expert. All that and more on this episode of Hak5. This episode of Hak5 is brought to you by GoDaddy, Squarespace, Gamefly, and viewers like you.
Hey Shannon, we're going to shoot the show this weekend. We're going to have to do it without Paul and Matt.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Matt
You're
went
right.
up to his folks' place in Ohio.
Paul went to the beach.
So it's just us. Anyway, so what do you have?
Play Expert. It's a nifty little program that overlays on top of your video games on your PC, and you can download a bunch of widgets so you can do like Twitter and friends.
Right,
lists.
yeah, this is your excuse to be doing, playing Left 4 Dead when you're supposed to be doing segment
I know.
research.
I'm so sorry.
Slaving over a hot USB key.
I know, gosh.
Now, I'm going to be,
What are you doing?
I figured I was talk about, coming back from the TrueCrypt stuff that we did last week.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to talk about extracting AES keys and stuff in memory and, cracking encryption with what's known as the cold boot attack.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
Okay.
But no, what I was thinking was since this is just the two of us, why don't we take the field equipment downtown and shoot, that coffee shop that we shot at season 1, episode 3. It'd be fun to go back there.
Oh, wait. It's July 4th weekend.
So?
There's going to be a lot of people down there. A lot of tourists.
I don't think it's going to be that crowded. With Squarespace, you can build beautiful looking blogs or websites in a fraction of the time it would take with a traditional content management system. Their intuitive drag and drop interface is as snappy and powerful as a desktop publishing app. But best of all, there's no software to install, no databases to configure, no patches to apply, and no code to fiddle with. Find out for yourself how simple and powerful it can be with a 2-week free trial at squarespace.com. And use promo code HAK5 to support the show and save 10% off the life of your service at squarespace.com.
So we've been talking about so many encryption things that you can do to your computer. You can protect yourself from boot by encrypting it with TrueCrypt. But now you're saying that there's a way around that. You don't exactly have to...
Right, I mean...
You can't really protect yourself completely.
Well, the thing is, and this is something that I've said time and time again, is that when it comes to, physical access to somebody's computer, all bets are off, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I kind of figured, just coming off the tails of what we were talking about last week with the TrueCrypt, I thought it would be apt to talk about the research that came out of Princeton University last year when it comes to, retrieving encryption keys from memory. So it's kind of interesting. You may have seen a video on YouTube about some guys with some compressed air pulling chips out.
They turn it upside down and they freeze the RAM stick. And
well, the whole point of that is that contrary to popular belief, when a computer is turned off, the RAM in it just doesn't instantly, just because there isn't power going through, it doesn't mean that all of the memory in it just instantly disappears.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it kind of gradually fades away, and it's going to change depending on manufacturer and lots of different variables.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
The point being, a momentary loss of power, like a reboot or reset, isn't going to completely clear everything out of the memory. And what we know from the encryption is that when you type in your password, that key, whether it be AES or whatever, is stored in memory so that it can, keep that volume up and whatnot. And that's where the vulnerability lies. And the Princeton researchers just took that to a new level of, okay, cool. If your RAM's got if this good stuff's in the memory, screw trying to, break into the computer so many different other ways. If, the key is in the RAM, just steal the RAM.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different versions of this attack. And basically there's a tool that runs in a couple different ways that basically dumps everything in the computer's memory to a drive so that you can later do some data mining on it. And there is a version that lives on my favorite little device in the world, just a little USB stick. Okay. And this is something that, say
Certain
for
size?
instance, yeah, we'll say for instance we were here at the coffee shop and you decided you needed some milk, cream, whatever, right?
Right.
And
okay.
you leave your laptop, just as we are here with our laptop. You
Which
just,
I would never do.
right, but you leave it unattended for a moment
Yeah.
to go and get some cream or sugar or something, right? In the time that it takes you to go and get that cream or sugar, I could come up to your laptop, plug this USB drive into it, hold down the power button until it shuts off, turn it right back on, and it would boot off of this USB key. I might have to
Okay.
go into the BIOS to configure
Yeah.
that, but point being, I can boot off this. And what's on this USB key is a 9.5 kilobyte program, so very, very, very small program. It doesn't
Wow.
even, it's not even an operating system running program. It's pretty
Yeah.
bare metal. It's really cool. So what this does is it dumps all of the memory on your computer to this drive, and then I can later, take that drive out and do some analysis and whatnot, and you come back to your computer and it's just been rebooted.
Now, when
As
you plug
computers
this
do.
into your computer and you're starting to get the data from my computer, are you going to lose anything since it's been cut off and it's slowly losing a lot of its
Well,
memory?
yeah. I mean, there's two good points there. First off, is that yes, you are going to lose. I mean, depending on the manufacturer and the RAM and all, lots of different variables. Yes, there can be some degradation of the memory,
Okay.
and more importantly, the program, as I mentioned, is about 9.5, 10 kilobytes. Well, it's got to store it somewhere when you boot off this.
Yeah.
It's going to store it in RAM. It's going to overwrite some sector
Oh, so
somewhere.
it'll just overwrite that itty bitty.
A little bit, yeah.
little
Your
amount.
computer's got a gigabyte of RAM. I'm going to
So you
overwrite
probably
10
won't.
kilobytes.
You probably won't miss much.
Well, hopefully I don't overwrite the AES key, the encryption bits that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a really neat tool. There's more than just the USB method, though. It's kind of interesting. There's a way to do this with PXE booting, which is booting off of your network card, and then you need a DHCP server and a TFTP server somewhere on the network to provide it with the program. But rather than using the USB key, you reset the computer and have the network card do the booting off another machine. And then thirdly, there's a really interesting, and in that case, it doesn't write to it doesn't have a drive connected to it. It actually spews the memory out over the network, and you just sniff it up.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is.
A little bit more difficult to set up. I like the USB version, but then if you really want to get sophisticated, there's a version of this where you can put it together with what's called Core Boot, which is basically like Linux on your BIOS. I think it was actually called BIOS Linux at one point. But basically, you take a specialized motherboard. A lot of ASUS motherboards can do this, and you put this program on here, and you can put that 9 kilobyte program, like I said, on the BIOS, right? So if you can steal the memory, if you can physically take the RAM out of the computer and into your specially crafted motherboard, you don't need to overwrite any of the memory.
Wow.
Dump it all to USB drive, PXE, whatever.
So that would be when they actually take the memory out and they freeze it?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you could just freeze it because, you're going to power cycle, you're going to pull the battery out of a laptop, pop it back in, and you want to, get it cold, and that's one of the key things to slowing down the memory degradation from a few
okay.
seconds to even a few minutes in some instances.
That was going to be my next question. Why
And then
freeze it?
And then there are a few different other variations of this, other than just the Princeton researchers code, which they have freely available. It's easy to get started with it. But McGrew Security RAM Dumper is another version, and I'm sure there are many others that do similar things. In fact, even later on, we'll talk about doing this while a computer's still running. Yeah. And then I guess there was, as far as the technical bits are concerned, the only other real thing important to mention here is that, so I'm using a 4 gigabyte USB key for this. This particular version is compiled for 32-bit, which would also work on 64-bit, but there is a special 64-bit version, which would allow me to address more of the memory. So, this wouldn't work so well on my computer at home because I have 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, so you'd need a bigger USB drive, yada yada. There's even ways to specially craft a iPod to do this. So as something as inconspicuous looking as an iPod could be a device for, harvesting data from unsuspecting computer users.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
I know, right?
I want to make my iPod do that.
So you're booted up here on your laptop.
Yeah.
And let's just pretend you go and get yourself a latte, and I'll do you a little demonstration.
Okay.
But first we're gonna need to get some more lattes.
Yeah, I know.
Keep your personal information away from spammers, hackers, and your crazy ex-roommate. Private domain registration from GoDaddy.com protects your privacy by keeping your address, phone number, and more out of the public database. Check out revision3.com/GoDaddy for all of our GoDaddy codes and offers.
So I booted into my laptop, I put in my encryption password, I put in my usual Windows password, I'm logged in, you know, everything's, as far as I know, everything's encrypted and
Right.
nobody can steal my information. I leave to go get my latte, I come back. What happened while I was gone?
Okay, so what I have to do as an attacker is take your laptop, and it's running, and I'm just going to go ahead and save some time and pop the USB key in here, and then I am going to pop the battery, pop it back in very quickly, probably quicker than that, and then press the power button. And then on your computer, all I have to do is press F12 a bunch of times. I select the USB flash drive, and there we go. And it starts dumping the memory.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it do its thing there. But yeah, okay, so it takes a few minutes, right? So if you're just grabbing a thing of sugar,
So like I'll go to the washroom,
right?
I'll do all my stuff.
I mean, and different tools take different amounts of time. Different ones are more sophisticated than others. I like the USB one just because it writes to its own memory, or you know, you don't have to set up a network with PXE and TFTP, and you know, you don't have to have a special crafted motherboard that you carry around. But yeah, you know,
So this
takes a few minutes.
this USB key, how do you build it? How do you make this thing?
Okay, so the version that I'm running, and I played with the McGrew security RAM dumper as well, but the version I'm using is the one released by Princeton researchers, and it's you know, the code is really easy to download. All you have to do is compile it. There's a note that it was that you need to, if you're compiling with GCC 4.1 or later, you have to use TAC F no stack protector. Anyway, it's I'll have, you know, information about that. But basically, yeah, you have to get it compiled, and then once you do, what happens is the package that you compile comes with a little bin file, that little 10K bin file that you use DD to image it onto your flash drive so that it's bootable. And then that's pretty much it. That's the tool in a nutshell. If you're going to do it USB style, we could do a whole thing in the lab about doing it PXE or with a custom motherboard with core boot. But once we have that, we just boot off of our target machine. Here we go. We're 30% in, so you can see it. Yeah, so it doesn't take too long. And that's it. Now once that's done, I take that key and I can start, you know,
stealing my data.
Yeah, I've got a copy of your memory.
Well, what kind of data can you get? Can you like get Word documents and images and things like that?
Well, basically, just like you would do like forensics analysis and stuff. Anything that's in your memory, I can get. So I actually use a program called Foremost. You can also use programs like Magic Rescue or even just a hex editor to extract data from what was in memory. So I like using Foremost because it supports a lot of different file formats like JPEGs and documents and stuff like that. And whatever was in RAM, I just, you know, run it against this tool, and then it makes a, you know, a copy of it and extracts it from that memory dump that I have.
50.
And then there's again another program released by the Princeton researchers, are an AES and an RSA key dumping or key finding utility. So you know when you built your TrueCrypt volume, your full disk encryption, chose AES. Well, this program can find AES strings and be like, hey, you know, the long and the short of it is it sees the strings and it says, hey, that's an AES
that
key.
sucks.
Yeah, I know. It makes you wonder, like, you know, why don't I just use AES, Blowfish, and 3DES?
I guess there's a way to get all of those, huh?
Well, no, like, you can start stacking encryption.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can use like multiple ones in TrueCrypt. So, I mean, you can go crazy with how many layers and whatnot.
Wow.
Or another, like talking about strings, another cool program is like in Linux, you can use the program strings, pipe it to grep, and look for something within your disk image. So, you know, if I knew your username was Snubs or something like that, I could potentially find some interesting information just with strings. But basically, it's data mining, it's forensics analysis. You know, you use the same kind of tools that you would use to recover stuff from your hard drive or something, you know.
So you basically just told me that, you know, my encryption is worthless if
It's not
I'm
worthless.
leaving
I'm
my
just saying
computer here.
it's a layer of your defense, and that you bear in mind physical security. Bear in mind, you know, when somebody has physical access to your machine, all bets are off.
So is that the best remedy? Is to just like keep my computer close by?
Well, I mean, that is a remedy, as well as maybe looking into some layering some encryption. So rather than just AES, using, like I said, 3 DES, Blowfish, 2Fish, whatever, in combination. There's also, as far as like, and it's one thing to talk about a laptop here, right? Where, you know, you can leave to use the washroom, and well, I mean, your laptop could just get stolen and show up on eBay.
Yeah, it could.
So, but there's something to be said about in like an enterprise environment when it comes to like servers. Servers typically have ECC memory. I know we talked about this recently when we built the $2,000 Ultimate White Box. Mm-hmm. Wow, it sucks to be those guys on the motorcycle in the rain. And we went with desktop memory, and
it's done.
It just reboots the computer when it's done. Yeah, or it turns it off. But yeah, I've got a complete image of your RAM now.
Well, now this brings up another question. It's rebooted. Now I'm going to know when I come back, my computer's been rebooted.
Yeah, and you'll also know that you were running Windows. Oh wow, I came back to my computer and it rebooted. What could have possibly happened?
Well,
you're going to dust it for fingerprints?
What if I had a full battery? I know that it was perfectly fine when I left it here with you because I trust you so much.
Well, of course you would be that suspicious, and our viewers would as well. But yeah.
So what about like, what if I put it in hibernate?
A good point. You're right. Hibernate and suspend in some cases will actually keep the encryption key in memory. So I know that it varies from vendor to vendor of security software. But yes, if you were in suspend, I could, flip your, well, it's an Acer Aspire 1, so I'd have to take damn near half the laptop apart just to get to memory. But if I could that quickly and get some compressed air and blow it down and pop it into my specially crafted motherboard with the, then sure. I don't think that's as practical. And then as I was saying, in the enterprise environment with servers, we didn't use ECC in our $2,000 white box computer, but if we did, it's more expensive memory. A lot of times what those support is the servers, when they are rebooted, they actually scrub the ECC memory or zero out all of the bits. So that may be I'm not saying that's a layer of defense, but that's a caveat. That's something to consider as an attacker that you have to get around. That's why it's nice to be able to take the RAM out of the machine and put it in your own motherboard. Furthermore, if somebody wants to take the memory out of your server and put it in their own motherboard and dump the RAM, and say like it's at a data center, you might want to use alarms. You might want to, a lot of server cases and stuff have the ability to set off alarms.
If they get opened? If
they get opened. Well, it basically tells the motherboard, and then hopefully then it can, tell someone else.
Okay.
We could have an entire conversation about when it comes to the enterprise level and the servers and rotating keys in and out of memory, and then back powering stuff and stealing servers. Point being, I just find this something interesting to take in mind, and I find that there's a lot of fun things that can be not even just encryption keys, but other cool stuff that can be mined out of the data that's in your memory when you
that's really
when
cool.
you dump your RAM. So I guess next week we will
let's build a whole computer just so we can freeze the RAM and take it out and stick it in another computer and steal all the data.
And then we can take that memory that we dumped and then put it up on the forums and have the kids try out different tools and see what we can all find. Oh, part of the Easter egg hunt. I'm getting crazy ideas here.
So, moral of the story, don't leave your computer unattended. Build on top of each of the encryptions with different types. Okay, I think I can do that.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
I want to let everybody know that GameFly is an amazing service. They are the largest online video game rental service and offer a choice of over 6,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, GameFly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. You can also purchase a game if you fall in love with it. They'll send you the box and the manual for a nominal fee. Head on over to gamefly.com/hack5 to get 2-week free trial membership. Gamefly.com/hack5.
Yes. Look at all the zombies. They're just standing there. Like
I don't care about the airplane. I just want brains. Yeah. Well, they're zombies. I mean, what do you expect them to do, right? So is this HUD at the top there? Is that part of Play Expert?
Yes, it is. Well, you've had that problem where you're playing Counter-Strike Source, and you want to, I don't know, hit Alt+Tab and go to IRC. And then you come back to your game and it's completely frozen, or you've already died because somebody got a headshot already, and you're dead.
You're standing there like stuck in game.
Yeah, you're like in the middle of the air, like.
Yeah, I love that. You know, actually, in like Counter-Strike 0.9, when I first started playing competitively, when I was like in the clan and stuff, we used to actually remove the Windows keys from our keyboards, or get keyboards that don't have them, just because you would press that and it would minimize your game. You'd lose sound. The only way to get back is to reboot.
Sucks.
Yeah. Windows 98 for
well, now you don't have to worry about that. Whether it's a Steam game or some other game, all you have to do is download Play Expert, and you get Twitter, you get Gmail, you get Pandora, you get all sorts of little widgets inside your game, which don't screw up your performance too much, and you're good to go. You never have to leave your game.
So this isn't just for Steam games, obviously.
Yeah.
Steam has the Shift tab, and I've got my like buddy list or whatever.
This works with anything.
Okay, well, you said Gmail, Twitter, like you say widgets. Are these something that I can just download more of? Does it come with stuff? What's the deal there?
It comes with like 6 or 7 different widgets already packed inside of it, which you can remove if you want to, or keep them. I kept them just for this segment. But it also comes with like 15 other ones that you can download separately and include into Play Expert.
Like what?
So I have Pandora opened up here, a command prompt, my voice control, friends, Gmail, and PC diagnostics.
So that's actually like Task Manager, which I think is really awesome, because sometimes there's like Firefox or something will freak out in the background, totally kill your game.
So let's see, here's Firefox, all in Firefox. Kill the process, yes.
There it goes.
Look at that, it's gone.
Awesome. So you don't have to Alt-Tab back into Task Manager. I think it's worth it just for that alone, just getting Task Manager in your game.
So you got a laggy game, you're like, God, what's taking up so much memory? So you can open up this and close whatever you need to. I could close Steam or whatever I need to. Oh, log me in. I don't need that running. iTunes Helper. Ugh. Like if you're into like the whole cheat codes thing, you could just come in here and press my key binding and go into Play Expert.
So key bindings, like, because you've got the Logitech key with like all the extra. So that's what all of those are for.
So I put a key binding to each of my little widgets. So all I have to do is press one, and then look at that, I can see my PC diagnostics, and then I press the button again, and
bring
it's
that
gone.
back up. So we're taking a look at your memory usage. You've been playing with this for a while. I thought you were just goofing off, not trying to do segment research this week, but what?
Oh, I was working.
Yeah,
I was working very, very hard.
I can take it. Well, how hard is your computer working though?
It's working pretty hard. I mean, obviously, I don't have the best computer in the world.
No, but it's a
my
dual
CPU
core
is
with
running
2 gigs
hard,
of RAM
but
and a decent video card.
Yeah, well, for Play Expert, you need a couple of things. Core 2 Duo is the recommendation, along with 2 gigs of RAM, and your graphics card needs to be, PCI Express and all that good stuff. For my computer, my performance is pretty good, except when I open Twitter and the Tunes widgets. Whenever I try to open the Twitter widget, I have it running in the background. I gave Play Expert my username and password so it can tell Twitter whenever I start a game and end a game. But if I try to Twitter through the Twitter client while I'm in the game, do my 140 characters, my personal ones, it completely freezes and forks
that's
up.
the fail whale injecting into your zombie game.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. And the Tunes doesn't work too well because I use iTunes, so anytime I open that up,
okay, so it runs iTunes in the background,
minimizes
and you get a
it,
little front end so you can like skip forward and back tracks and stuff like that.
Though I did try Pandora, and Pandora is freaking awesome.
Well, Pandora's always awesome.
Yeah, I'm just playing my game.
That's so cool.
With my music in the background.
See, I've got the thing where like I've got dual monitors, right? And I will have like my other stuff in another monitor, but I've got my primary one playing my games, right?
Yeah.
And I'll see IRC scrolling by, and I want so badly to like.
You want to go over there and you want to talk to him, but you can't.
But yeah. So this would be great for like, especially in CS where you get killed and you've got to wait around while everybody else plays.
You got to wait for like 3-4 minutes
right.
until everybody else finishes their match, and then you get to go back into the game. Well, while you're waiting, you can browse the web.
Okay, so these widgets, are they like the Yahoo widgets, the iGoogle widgets, where you can just write them with like JavaScript? And...
No, you need C# in Microsoft Visual Studio, so they're a little bit more...
proprietary?
Yeah. for developers, you know, anybody can develop their own widget for this. It's not just the play expert people. If you want to develop a widget for it, you can do it. Go ahead. Go right ahead. They're totally open to that kind of thing. Ah! I think that wraps up this episode of Hak5.
Right, of course, if you guys have any questions or comments about any of the stuff you've seen on the show this week, go ahead and post in the forums, hit us up on the comments on the blog, email feedback@hak5.org. We'd love to hear what you guys think. Maybe we'll take some of this stuff and do it up in the lab next week, a little more in depth or whatnot.
And don't forget, we're having a Hak5 meetup on August 15th. Go to hak5meetup.squarespace.com to find out all the details at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg.
Yes, that's going to be a fun meetup. I hope you guys can all
So
make
excited.
it out there so that we can all, together, trust our technolust.
Cheers. She's looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you, lady?